Come, we have a small crowd as we restart the year, but we'll. I know Yafi just traveled to Israel today, right?
Oh, really?
So you have to let Miri and.
Miri, I talked to her. Miri and I are not on the mailing list, so we kind of not sure what's going on.
Oh.
Sunny's coming too.
So I need to. So after class, let me put you on the mailing list.
I called her this morning to tell her that the class is on because I checked.
Uh-huh.
Earlier.
Oh, you checked on the calendar, yeah.
No, I just stopped by.
Oh,
dropped in
okay.
and asked. And I called her, but she wasn't ready. She was just
Okay.
starting the day.
So come, let's get started. Breishit and Noach, the first two chapters. Right? The Torah begins, Breishit bara Elokim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. Right? In the beginning of God's creating heavens and earth. Okay, page 2 in our Chumashim. Good morning, good morning.
Good morning.
So Rashi asks his famous question. Hi, Sonny. Rashi asks his famous question, why didn't the Torah begin with the very first mitzvah? What is the very first mitzvah? That's later on in Shemot. HaChodesh hazeh lachem Rosh Chodashim. A mitzvah to establish Rosh Chodesh, the new months. Right? Today is Rosh Chodesh, a good start for us. Right? The very first mitzvah is later on in the book of Exodus. Right? Nothing at all in Breishit. Midway through Exodus, Shemot, we have the first mitzvah. So why didn't the Torah start there? That's Rashi's question. So let me ask you, what is underlying Rashi's question? Or let me rephrase that question.
What are we supposed to do first?
What is this? What type of book is this?
Okay.
Book of Mitzvot.
Okay, so Rashi seems to understand,
Laws.
right? It's a law book. And therefore, why do we need this whole stories get to the laws?
To justify, to say, okay.
Okay.
Drop
God bless you.
came from him.
Okay.
Who made
Okay,
the
so
law.
if we are saying that this is a law book, so you want to say, Leah, that all that leads up to there is to justify who are you to tell me what to do? Right? You give me a law book, right? You know, someone walks in and says, oh, here, Rabbi, here's a law book for you. I say, thank you very much. Who are you? Why should I be interested in what you decide the laws are? That's certainly a valid approach. And it would seem that from Rashi's question, his understanding was that it is a law book, so we'll need to give that such an explanation as you're giving. Amy, you said something else, though. What type of book is this?
A guide book.
It's a guide book. I like that. It's a guide book. A guide in terms of what?
How to live our life.
How to live our lives. Now that's going to include certain laws. It's also going to include certain values. Certain underpin. Now it's not just how I live my life or how you live your life, but it needs to also be a guidebook as to how do we live our life. So therefore it's a guidebook for individuals, but also for society at large. So I'd like to work through, right? Last week was Breishit, this week is Noach. I want to combine the two and present to you what Rabbi Sachs presents as, this is in his book, To Heal a Fractured World. Excellent, excellent book. It certainly is a fractured world. So to try to heal that. And he speaks about four different aspects of responsibility that we learn from the four episodes, two in Breishit two in Noach that are the very, very difficult, volatile episodes. In Breishit, what would you say are the two episodes that are these volatile situations, episodes?
Well, first eating from the tree.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Eating from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Now, it's very important, right? You say, eat from the tree of knowledge. Well, who wouldn't want to eat from the tree of knowledge? Knowledge is good, isn't it? Right? But this is the knowledge of good and evil, and it's not just the knowledge of it, it's more of an experiential, right? In the Torah, when the Torah discusses a couple having intimate relations, the term it uses is vayeda, and they knew. He knew his wife, right? So knowledge, yada, is a very experiential way of knowing something. That's why intimate relations is a way that a man and a woman can know one another in a very experiential, intimate way. So this was experiencing Tov and Ra, and really internalizing Tov and Ra. And we spent other years, we discussed that. I don't want to spend too much time on that, but certainly eating from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, that is one episode. The next episode in Breishit?
Cain and Abel.
Good. Cain and Abel. Cain and Hevel. Cain killing his brother Hevel. In Noach, what are the two episodes? The flood is certainly number one. And then at the very end, we have 9, 10, or I think even 9 verses which speak about the Tower of Babel, when they built that tower. Let's take a look. Let's try to go through these 4, according to where Rabbi Sachs explains it. If we have time, I'll also share with you a beautiful teaching from the Slonim Rebbe on this. So let's jump up to the episode in the Garden of Eden.
Okay, so Rabbi Sachs is going to, and you're going to teach us how these 4 episodes
The levels
heal
of
our fractured world.
No. The title of the book is To Heal a Fractured World. These 4 episodes give us 4 aspects of responsibility that are underpinnings for both individual and society functioning in this world. Okay, so let's first go. What is the very first command that God gives?
Don't eat the apple.
No. No on 2 counts, Leah. First of all, it wasn't an apple,
Whatever it was.
right?
Tree of knowledge.
Whichever the artist it was who drew that, with my deepest apologies, it was not an apple. Okay, just one second.
It was just a fruit. It was just a fruit. Yeah, the fruit. Yeah.
Just one second.
First mitzvah. Or the first commandment?
Was it naming the animals?
Okay. Now he blessed him earlier and told him to be fruitful and multiply. But and he did have him name, but the first Vayitzav on page 12. Okay, page 12, verse 16. Leah bechavod, Vayitzav Hashem Elokim.
ויצר השם אלוקים על האדם לאמור, מכל עץ הגן אכול תאכל.
So the first commandment is 16, and Hashem commanded saying, of every tree of the garden you may freely eat. So the first command was,
Eat.
as our grandmother said to us, Essen, mein Kind. Essen. Eat, my child. Eat, please.
That's the fatherly concept of God, right?
Next one. Ume'etz
הדעת טוב ורע לא תאכל ממנו, כי ביום אכלך ממנו מות תמות.
But 17, so take this for us in English, please. But of the tree.
But of the tree of knowledge of good and bad, you must not eat thereof. For on the day you eat of it, you shall surely die.
Okay. Not to say that when you eat it, you're going to die. But once you eat from it, then you will die.
Eventually.
Right. As opposed to before eating from that, you will not die.
Like immortal and mortality.
Correct. Correct. Now, right away, the very first thing that we see here is mankind is told, you have to take responsibility for your actions. There are things that you can do, and there are things that you can't do. Now, if God doesn't want them to eat from the tree, don't put it in the garden. Why does he put it in the garden, tell them not to eat it? Don't put it in the garden. Right? You don't want your kids to touch the oven. Right? You don't want your kids to get to the cleaning supplies. You have to put a childproof guard on that cabinet. You don't want them to eat from there. Right? Put some animals around it that you can't get there, or don't put it in the garden.
But it's the choice. It's what the free
Choice. We have to make choices. God wants us to make choices. We need to step up and be responsible. And we need to realize that we're living in God's world. The example I always like to give, I said it before, right? You come, I invite you to my house, great, you come, right? And you sit down at the dining room table, right? Do you start opening up cabinets? Do you start opening up cabinets? I hope not. Why not? I mean, what have I got in there anyhow? I got some forks, spoons, knives, plates. There's nothing personal in my kitchen cabinets. Nothing personal in there. Why can't you open up my cabinets?
Respect.
Good. It's not your house. It's my house. Respect. You understand that when you're in someone else's house, there are certain do's and don'ts that go along with it. So God is letting them know, my children, you're in my house. It's not a free-for-all. You're in my house. And therefore, this is there in the garden. And it's appealing. But that's off limits. Everything else is yours, but that's off limits. But what's the struggle that we as human beings have? The pasuk in as a verse, I believe it's in Mishlei, says, Mayim gnuvim yumtaku. Stolen water is very sweet.
Oh, yeah.
Stolen water is very sweet. If I can't have it, then I want to have it. Water. Right? In most parts of the world, at least. Right? There's an abundance of water. So why would you want to steal water? Because it makes it sweeter when it's stolen. So they're told not to eat from the Eitz Hadat. And then they go ahead and they eat from the Eitz Hadat. Let's zoom up a little bit. Right? So right off the bat, we see, or Isaac says, we see that freedom comes with responsibility. Freedom comes with responsibility.
But they didn't take responsibility.
Let's go to 16. Verse Yud Aleph, page 16, page 17, Pasuk Yud Aleph. All right? Anyone else want to try Hebrew? Eileen, you want to give the Hebrew a shot, or you rather not?
lach ki Aaron
Good.
ata hanin ha'etz asher su
CV.
TV liv liviti
Mm-hmm.
achal mimenu achalta.
Good. Linda, take that for us in English now. Right? 11 and 12. Oh, not Linda. I'm sorry. Cheryl.
And he said,
You have two Lindas here. No Lindas.
"Who told you that you are naked? Have you eaten from the tree from which I commanded you not to eat?" The man said, "The woman who you gave to be with me, she gave me of the tree, and I ate."
Okay.
It is
So
not
what's
my
his
fault.
first response?
It's not my fault.
Denying personal responsibility. Right? Who's he blaming? And
Who? God gave.
and God. The woman whom you gave to me to be with me. She gave me of the tree and I ate. Right? It's who's around in the world at the time? God, him, and his wife. Well, it can't be me who's responsible. It can't possibly be responsible. Who else is it? Okay, process of elimination. You did it. You did it. Right? It's my wife. It's you, God. Now, fascinating. I'll just veer off for a moment. If you heard in the Hebrew, that Eileen read, Hamin ha'etz, was it from the tree that I told you not to eat that you ate? The Gemara asks, in the Gemara of Megillah, we're talking about the whole Purim story. It asks, where is Esther alluded to in the Torah? And where is Mordechai alluded to in the Torah? And where is Haman alluded to in the Torah? And here's where Haman is alluded to. Hamin ha'etz sounds like Haman ha'etz. Oh, so very good. So we found the three letters, Hey, Mem, Nun. Thematically, what is the connection over here of Haman
Evil.
and eating from the Eitz Hadat?
Evil.
But what type? What's the aspect here? Remember, what was the first command given to them?
Don't eat.
Eat.
Essen, mein Kind. Eat everything. Except this one tree. But what happens? What's the one thing you want? The one thing that you don't have. What did Haman say? What do we read about in Megillat Esther? Everyone is bowing down to Haman except for Mordechai, the Jew. And what does Haman say?
Nothing.
Everything kol ze einenu shavali. Everything that I have is worthless. Why? When I see that Jew Mordechai refusing to bow down. I've got everything except for that. It's all worthless because I don't have that. That becomes everything. I don't have that. I've got nothing. Hamin ha'etz. That's the Haman. Min ha'etz. The same idea.
Also, the AIDS killed him too.
Okay. That's interesting, Dov.
I know.
Okay. So what's the next pasuk? Let's take verse 13. Vayom Hashem Elokim la'isha. Hashem said to the woman, Mazot asit. What did you do? What was her response? Hanachash. Hishiani va'ochel. The snake deceived me, and I ate. He blames her and God. She blames the snake. Everyone's responsible except for me. Now, we see that in our world today. It's my genes. It's my upbringing. It's my society. It's what this person did to me. The road rage. Yeah, but they cut me off. There is this incredible degree of victimization. I'm a victim. I'm reading this, I finished reading, now he's reading it now, this incredible book by a woman, Dr. Ava Eger. She spoke at the FIDF luncheon they had a little while ago. She's a psychologist in her 90s, lives in San Diego now, practices there. And she is a survivor of the Holocaust of Auschwitz. The book is called The Choice. And the theme and the name is that no one does anything to you. No matter what is happening, or I think she quoted her mother as saying on the way to Auschwitz, we don't know where we're going. We don't know what they will do to us there. But the one thing that cannot be taken away from us is how we decide to react to what is happening. And that's very much Viktor Frankl, right? Man's search for meaning, right? The freedom that no one can take away from you is how you are reacting to things internally. Which means no matter what's going on, you have the choice, and along with the choice comes responsibility. So the very, very first episode the Torah tells us is mankind, it's mostly women here, mankind, right? You are fully responsible for yourself. This was their failure. You have freedom. You're not programmed. Right? Again, this tree of knowledge, it can't be that before they ate from that they had no knowledge and they were like these little toddlers, because you can't tell a toddler to yes or not do something and then hold them responsible for something that's beyond their capability. That which is within the capability, yes. Beyond the capability, not. So this had to be within their capability. So the very first message of the Torah is, you have choices to make. You are responsible for those choices. And you can't point your fingers at anyone else. Someone might do something to me. But how I react, that is me. And own up to that. There's no shirking that responsibility.
I think it's interesting that is the first. We have choices, and then right after that, they blow it.
Yeah.
I mean, so that's part of the lesson too.
Yeah, yeah. And this is laying out for us in this guidebook. Right, before we get to any of the laws, there are certain, right, you can't give me a law if I don't have the freedom to choose to do it or not, and if I don't have the responsibility for my decision. Right? You make a law that I have no choice. Either I must or I can't. There's no point to that law. And if there's a law that I can choose but no responsibility, again, there's no point in that law. So there needs to be freedom and responsibility. Along with freedom comes responsibility. Yes, though.
Do they not have trust in the Creator? I mean, what's happening over here?
So that's a whole different focus, right? Why? How did they go against what God told them to do? And take it a step further. If they did not yet have what we call a yetzer hara, an inclination to do bad, then how could they be deceived by this nachash to do bad? That's a whole different issue that we're not going, because that's a good 20 minutes to 40 minutes in and of itself. We've done that in the past. Remind me next year we could dive back into that, but we're not going to do that this morning. Yes?
I was just going to say that every human being has an intellect and an emotion. And one is always overriding the other. And that's the battle, I think.
Okay, but correct? And that became the battle. That became the battle as a result of this Eitz Hadat. Just very briefly, right? There's Emet and Sheker, and there's Tov and Ra. There's true and false, and there's good and bad, right? In other words, I could have a moral dilemma. A moral dilemma, tragically, that we've experienced, not we personally, but we as a nation, is we're hiding, and the Nazis are searching the house. And there's an infant who's starting to cry. Do I smother the infant so we don't give away our location or not? Right? There's a jetliner, right, that's heading for the Twin Towers. It's going to kill thousands of people. Do I shoot that jetliner out of the sky and kill the 200 passengers and crew in order to save the thousands of people in the Twin Towers or not? That's one sort of moral dilemma. There's another sort of moral dilemma. I got a lot of cash this year. There's no way the government knows about it. Comes April 15th. I didn't get a lot of cash, just for you too. Theoretically speaking, right? Comes April 15th, right? Do I report it or not? That's another moral dilemma. But it's a world apart from the first moral dilemma. First two. Why?
Life and death.
Besides life and death.
It's personal.
It's for myself, and this is for the society.
More than that. The first two cases are a world apart
Integrity.
from this case. What do you mean integrity?
Are you following what you know you're supposed to be doing?
Okay. In the first two cases, I don't know what it is I'm supposed to do. I don't know what is right. Is it right to smother the baby? Or not? Is it right? I don't know. I don't know what the right thing to do is. That's my moral quandary. In the case of the second case,
You know what's
I know what's right. What's the question? Will I do what's right or not? Before they ate from the Eitz Hadat, they could have that first type of moral quandary. But there was no issue of doing the wrong thing. When you know what's right, of course I'm going to do what's right. But I just don't know what's right in this case. Once we ate from the Eitz Hadat, now we became this tortured individual. Will I do what's right? Will I not do what's right? I don't know. Right? That's the whole quandary. Let's move on from personal freedom, which means personal responsibility, to the Cain and Hevel story. What happens? Right? Hevel is a shepherd. Cain is a tiller of the ground. We're on page 20, page 21. And then after a period of time, Cain brought an offering to Hashem of the fruit of the ground. As for Abel, he also brought of the firstling of his flock and from the choicest. So Cain went first. It was his idea, but he brought of the fruit of the ground. Hevel says, that's a good idea. We should bring an offering to God. What does he bring? The best. Hashem turned to Abel and to his offering. To Cain's offering he did not turn. This annoyed Cain exceedingly. His countenance fell. Hashem said to Cain, why are you annoyed? Why did your countenance fallen? If you improve yourself, you will be forgiven. That sounds awfully familiar, right? Take responsibility. Instead of being angry, right? I mean, there's an expression, don't get angry, get even. That's not what we're saying over here, right? Don't get angry, improve. Fix the situation. But if you not improve yourself, sin rests at the door, it's just toward you, yet you can conquer it. What happens? Cain spoke with his brother Abel. They're out in the field. Cain rose up against brother Abel and killed him. Pasuk Tet. V'yomer Hashem el Kayin, Ei Hevel achicha, where is Hevel, your brother? Vayomer, and he said, Lo yadati, hashomer achi anochi. Am I my brother's keeper? What is he denying over here?
Responsibility.
Yes, but it's another level of responsibility. What have you done? The voice of brother blood cries out from the ground. Right? What is Hevel saying? What is Cain saying? Cain is saying what is preached to us in our world today. There's no moral responsibility. Who are you to tell me what is right, what is wrong? Who are you to impose your morals, your views on me? I want to decide what I want to do. Do we hear that? Am I a brother's keeper? Yeah. So I killed him. What's wrong with that? Do we hear that? This is a denial of a moral responsibility. I'm not denying my responsibility, but my responsibility is to who? Myself. To whatever makes sense to me. To whatever suits me at that moment. You think it's wrong, then you don't do it. Because you think it's wrong, I shouldn't do it? I mean, do we hear our society today? Mm-hmm. Do we hear our world today?
Is that anarchistic, would you say, or Machiavellian?
Yeah. Yeah. We decide what we want to do. We decide. I decide. I decide what's important. I decide what's not important. Right? Look. You know, it's reading through this book. I went to Poland, Israel this past summer. It's incredible how a society can decide that these people, this group of people, law-abiding, living their lives, should be exterminated. Should be pulled from their homes, thrown into cattle cars, thrown into gas chambers, and then we have to figure out a good way to get rid of the bodies. And that's fine. That's fine. Because that makes sense to us. That's this going berserk on a national level. Who are you to tell me what's right and what's wrong? Who are you to impose your morals upon me? Now, I always wonder if the proponents of same-sex marriage are also in favor of a father and a daughter, a mother and a son, and a brother and a sister. As adults. As two consenting adults, should they want to get married? Right? In my mind, I wonder, like in my mind, right, if the idea is, who are you to impose your morals upon me? So, this person wants to marry his sister. They want to get married. They're adults. They're in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. They want to get married. A mother and a son. Father and a daughter. Right? I mean, I wonder just how far, you know, or I'm curious. Or do they draw a line? But if they're drawing a line, how can you draw a line? How can you, right? Why shouldn't your morals? So you say same-sex marriage is fine, but a mother-daughter is not fine? Who are you to impose your morals on a mother-son who want to get married? I wonder. Again, I'm just curious what those proponents say about that situation.
Atheists have limits.
Right.
So.
But that is the second level over here that we have all around us today. Right? Moral responsibility. Who are you to impose? Right? I do what makes sense to me. Does it make sense to you? You don't do it. Makes sense to me. I'm going to do it. And who are you to tell me otherwise? So we have a personal responsibility. We have a moral responsibility. There are certain things that you can't decide don't apply to you. Let's go to Noach.
That's a question.
Yes,
Sorry.
Leah.
Who was kind afraid of for being killed? Because supposedly
The animals.
Just,
The animals. The animals. Yeah, the mark of Cain was there to protect him. Right?
Because there was no other
Correct.
thing except for his
From the
parents.
animals. Yeah. And the idea is a very interesting idea that when a human being was, as a human being is supposed to be, an animal would understand that that's a different category, right? Once he had sunken down, now already he was somewhat fair game.
So then why did that devolve to all people from Cain?
So what we're doing here, Janet, is, according to Rabbi Sachs, right, these 4 episodes, we've done 2 of them so far, are laying down the pinnings of society, of what,
Right.
of
I'm
what's...
saying, why are animals not knowing anymore? I mean,
Because mankind has, because mankind in general has...
because if it was only Cain,
Yeah.
at that point,
At that
we're
point.
at a good level. And
Yeah, I hear that. That's an interesting point. I would say that mankind has sunken down.
So we would all need the mark of Cain.
Yeah. Or protection, or cages, or whatever it is. Yeah. That's why when we go to the zoo, they have the animals in cages. Yeah, because we're missing that mark of Cain. Let's go now to Noach. Pages 30, 31. Right? And what's the state of the world over here? Before we get to Noach's issue, Vayomer, verse 13, Vayomer Elokim leNoach, God said to Noach, Kates kol basar ba lefanai, ki mala aretz chamas b'nehem, v'nima shchitam et haaretz. Okay? Or actually, the pasuk 12. Vayar Elokim et haaretz v'inei nishchata, ki yeshchit kol basar darko ala aretz, and then the chamas. What are the 2 sins that are going on over here? Corruption,
robbery.
moral corruption, and robbery. Okay, so this is really like Cain gone exponential, right? There's rampant immorality and robbery, right? Meaning, I do as I do. I do as I please, and, right, there is no moral responsibility. So Hashem tells Noach to do what? Build a teva, build an ark. How long did it take him to build this ark? 120 years. Famously, Rashi brings the teaching of the sages. So why specifically a flood? There are many ways that God could bring destruction to the world. Why specifically this flood? In order that Noach would need to build a teva to protect himself. What's the gain of Noach building the teva?
People ask questions.
People ask questions. And hopefully people will see, right? The evening news, right, the last 3 minutes, the human interest part. And there's Noah building his ark. How long you been at it, Noah? Oh, 118 years. Oh, why is that? Big flood coming. Are you sure about that? Absolutely. When? 2 more years. Okay, no, I'll get back to you next year. Right? You know, everyone sees this guy's building an ark. Right?
Also, could there be something where some of the water animals that teemed in the waters were less?
Okay,
vulnerable?
interesting. Interesting. The fish were not affected. What is the lesson that we learn? Noach went from an ish tzaddik. That's the the very first verse. Eila told Noach, Noach ish tzaddik, righteous man, tamim hayah, perfect he was in his generations. And then after the flood, we find that Noach has devolved. If you look on page 42, page 43, right, verse 20. Someone take that first in English? Or first in Hebrew? Leah, Vayachel. Page 42, Pasuk Chaf.
ויחל נוח איש האדמה ויקח קרן, ויש מן היין וישקר, ויגל בתוכו ולח.
Oh, interesting. Take that in English. Noach.
Noah, the man of the earth, debased himself and planted a vineyard. He drank of the wine and became drunk, and covered himself within his tent.
Interesting. So, we had Adam and Chava who were naked and embarrassed, and here we have Noach debasing himself, making himself naked and not being embarrassed. How did Noach go from an ish tzaddik to ish ha'adamah? He went from a righteous man to the man of the earth. Vineyard, wine, drunkenness, uncovered intent. What is going on over here? Right? Where did Noach misstep over here?
I heard, or maybe he once said, some commentators say, he began to feel guilty about or upset about the desolation of the world afterwards.
Okay.
And then he realized maybe he hadn't done everything he could to win.
Okay. Right? There is, survivor's guilt. Right? Noach had an incredible case of survivor's guilt. Right? And where is his guilt? What could he have done differently? Who was saved? Noach, his wife, his 3 sons, his 3 sons' wives. Who was he concerned about? His immediate circle. What aspect of responsibility do we learn from Noach's failure?
You might have a claw of communal responsibility.
Collective responsibility. So whereas Adam was denying his personal responsibility, Noach was denying the collective responsibility that we need to have. Right? The parable is given, people are on a boat, and the guy takes out an electric saw and starts to cut a hole under his seat. Hey, what are you doing? I paid for the seat. This is my seat. Yeah, but we're on the same boat over here. Right? So you paid for your seat, but we're all going down when this thing starts to flood. There must be this collective responsibility. And this is something that finds its way in many, many halachot, in many, many Jewish laws. It's an interesting law. Normally, if I've already fulfilled my mitzvah, then I can't do it on your behalf. Right? When it comes to Kiddush, though, I already made Kiddush on Shabbos. Someone else needs to hear Kiddush. I make Kiddush again for that person. How can I make Kiddush for that person if I've already made my own Kiddush? I've already fulfilled my mitzvah. The idea is, if someone else hasn't yet fulfilled their mitzvah, then there's something lacking in my mitzvah. I have not fully fulfilled my mitzvah. Why? Because as a Jew who hasn't yet heard Kiddush. So my mitzvah is not fulfilled. My job is not finished. I can't check the box, mission accomplished. Noach, going from Ish Tzaddik to Ish Adamah, teaches us about this collective responsibility, right? And that we have just so much of. The mitzvah of tzedakah, we give to the Kohen, we give to the Levi, we give to the poor, we bring to Yerushalayim, we distribute over there. It is this understanding that God put me here, not just for me, but for all others that I can and must help, influence, affect, aid. So there is personal responsibility we saw from Adam. There is moral responsibility. We saw that from Cain and Hevel. There is collective responsibility that we learn from Noach.